Norma Schultz was a 72-year-old woman who lived in the 800 block of Billy Ruth Lane in Hurst, Texas. Sometime in May of 2014, she disappeared, never to be seen again. Her husband, Robert Schultz, said he last saw his wife on Memorial Day weekend. He said that Norma had packed her clothes and belongings in a suitcase and left the home on 24th May. He reported her missing on the 25th of May. According to Robert, Norma's mother had died a few months ago and she was upset about it, and he thinks that this was the part of the reason she left. Norma's daughter said she doesn't believe she would have left without telling anyone and would miss family events or be out of touch with the family members. Investigators said there are no suspects in the case, but they believe that Norma may have vanished 6 days prior to when her husband reported her missing. A neighbor reported waving to Norma on 19th May and then never saw her again after that. Police have not revealed if they believe that foul play is involved in her disappearance. Norma left her vehicle at the house and Robert said he saw her walk away. In June 2019, police got a search warrant and dug up the backyard of Norma's house in hopes of finding her body. However, despite digging for hours, authorities couldn't find anything. Norma's disappearance is considered suspicious and it remains unsolved. Andrew Alexander and Tanner Skelton were 3 brothers from Morenci, Michigan. Their mother had recently filed for a divorce from their father, John Russell Skelton, in September 2010. Tanya had full custody of the boys, but John had visitation rights. Tanya and the boys had moved to another house just a few blocks from John's house. On November 24, 2010, the 3 brothers went to spend their Thanksgiving Day with their father, John, at his house. This would be the last time they were seen alive. John was supposed to give the boys back to Tanya the day after Thanksgiving Day, but he never did. On November 26, the day after Thanksgiving, Tanya called John to ask if she could pick the boys up. John said that he wasn't home and was in Jackson. Tanya said that she saw his van in the driveway of his house. John replied that a friend had picked them up in her car and taken them to her house. But John later said that he wasn't with the boys and instead he was at his house. He told Tanya that the boys were with a friend that he had met on the internet some time back. He said the friend's name was Joanne Taylor and that she would drop the kids back at 3 p.m. Later, when Tanya called him again, he told her that he was in the hospital. He claimed he had tried to hang himself. At this point, Tanya began to panic. She then went to John's house just in case the mystery woman Joanne stopped there to rob the kids, but she never did. At 3 p.m., Tanya reported the children missing to the police. The officer questioned John in the hospital, who told them that the children were safe with Joanne. He claimed that he met Joanne and her husband on the road and that they had been internet friends ever since. He said that on Thanksgiving Day, he wasn't feeling well and had decided to take his own life. This is why he called Joanne Taylor to take the children away from the house. Police, however, did not believe his story and issued an Amber Alert. Police searched John's house and found the house to be thrashed. Broken plates, broken furniture, mattresses slashed with a knife, and everything in the house was just thrown about. A massive search effort took place in the following days, but no sign of the kids were ever found. Police were unable to locate or confirm that a person named Joanne Taylor ever existed. Police also discovered that on the evening of Thanksgiving Day, John had posted, "May God and Tanya forgive me," on his Facebook wall. Police also looked into the search history on John's computer and found that he had searched terms like "how to break a neck" and "does rat poison kill people?" John claimed that he and his sons were watching a karate movie and the kids had asked these questions, so he had looked them up online. Cell phone records indicated John left his home around 4:30 a.m. early morning the day after Thanksgiving and drove at least as far as Holiday City, Ohio, about 20 miles southwest, before returning home at around 7 a.m. No one knows why he went there that early morning. Police wondered if he murdered the boys and then made that trip to dump the boys somewhere in the woods. Police performed extensive searches in and around Holiday City, but nothing would be found. John was arrested and charged with 3 counts of parental kidnapping and 3 counts of unlawful imprisonment as soon as he got out of the hospital. John was brought into court and people noticed he was in a wheelchair and wearing a soft shoe cast. Doctors pointed out that if he had a broken foot from the attempted suicide as he claimed, he should have been wearing a hard plastic cast instead of the soft shoe cast. John had claimed to have fallen from a height of 10 feet while trying to hang himself. Doctors agreed that he would have likely suffered from a displacement fracture falling from that height. A soft shoe cast indicated that he had a hairline fracture. A hairline fracture usually occurs when someone twists their ankle while walking on uneven ground. A theory was put forward that John got that injury while walking in the woods in the early morning hours on the day after Thanksgiving Day and not from the attempted suicide. During his court hearing, John changed his story. This time he claimed to have given the boys to a group called United Foster Outreach and Underground Sanctuaries to protect them from their abusive mother. It's worth noting that in 1998, Tanya had been charged and pled guilty to 4th-degree misdemeanor criminal sexual conduct after being accused of having sex with a 14-year-old boy. Tanya denied that she ever mistreated her sons, and there is no proof that she actually abused her sons. The group that John claimed to have given the kids to was never identified. John pled no contest to the unlawful imprisonment charges and was sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. John maintains that he gave the boys to the organization and are safe and alive. The Skelton brothers remain missing to this day. Leticia Hernandez was a 7-year-old girl who lived with her parents, grandmother and 6 siblings in the 1300 block of Bush Street in Oceanside, California. At around 7 p.m. on December 16, 1989, Leticia was playing with several other neighborhood children in her front yard of her apartment. Her mother saw Leticia playing and eating a piece of bread before she left to do some laundry on the first floor of the apartment building. When she returned 10 minutes later, Leticia was nowhere to be seen. Her mother went around knocking on neighbors' doors to see if Leticia was playing with their kids, but she couldn't find her anywhere. At 9 p.m., her mother reported her missing to the police. Police initially focused on reports about a man in a late model Cadillac that had been seen in the neighborhood offering children $50 to get into his car at around 6 p.m. on the same day Leticia had been abducted. However, that investigation turned out to be a dead end. A woman reported seeing a child matching Leticia's description at a Buckman Springs rest stop in East County, which was about 80 miles away from her home. A white man was seen standing with her. The man was described as 5 feet 8 inches tall and around 230 pounds with a shoulder-length blonde hair and a receding forehead. The woman said the girl looked terrified and seemed to have been crying. The witness had not reported the sighting until she saw a picture of Leticia on TV. Leticia was then seen on December 19 and 20 at Mount Laguna campgrounds with the same man and a woman. On December 26, she was reported on Interstate 10, just west of New Mexico border. There were more than a dozen sightings along Interstate 8 and 10, most of them either at highway rest stops or gas stations. It appeared the suspects were moving east. The last reported sighting occurred on January 1, 1990 on Interstate 10 in Sealy, Texas. The woman seen with Leticia was described as being approximately 30 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall, and about 130 pounds, had light-colored eyes, and collar-length, dirty bleached blonde hair. The abductors were reportedly driving a 1975 maroon Buick Skylark with tan leather or vinyl interior. The vehicle's license plate might contain the letters or numbers KR966 or CR966. On March 9, 1991, Letitia's remains were found along a remote road near the Pala Indian Reservation 23 miles from where she was abducted. The remains were found by a caretaker working on a property on Pala Temecula Road. The medical examiner determined that she had died within 3 months of her disappearance. Her red shorts that she wore the day she was abducted were found with her remains. Police believe that she was murdered, and a man that lived near the Hernandez family was suspected in her murder. The man claimed to be out of town during her disappearance. However, witnesses and other evidence placed him in the area that day. DNA collected from the crime scene was compared to the suspect, but the results were inconclusive. There have been no arrests in the case, and her mother, who was also named Letitia Hernandez, died in 1998 from cancer. The case remains unsolved.